Hello and welcome to another episode of Osgoode Community Chronicles, where we explore the rich history, vibrant events, and remarkable stories that make up the Osgoode ward and surrounding communities. In each episode, we dive deep into our local heritage, drawing from the meticulous records and research of our local historians and families. These invaluable resources allow us to bring you stories from the past, ensuring that the traditions that shaped our community are shared with future generations. Whether you're a lifelong resident like me, or a newcomer, join us as we tie our fascinating history to the present-day version of our beloved region of Osgoode and surrounding communities. I'm your host, Tracy Daviero. I have some exciting news for you this week. Well, I think it's exciting anyway. I've been trying to figure out the best way to provide the information about the events of our area to you. I've been putting them in the resource section of each podcast on our website, but then I realized it'd be much easier for all of us if I just put them together into calendar form. So now you can access everything I tell you about on this podcast in a single online calendar. Well, starting in January 2025, with links to learn more about it or get the registration details as they are. Now, many of the events are set up via Facebook, so most of the event links you will need to use with Facebook, but where possible, I'm still trying to add website links as well. It was a little bit of a chore to get the initial setup done, but it is going to be a cinch to keep updated for you and for me. Just go to osgoodecommunitychronicles.com/calendar or find community calendar in the menu and you'll be taken to the monthly calendar. Scroll through to find what you're looking for, and of course we have links to each episode of the podcast in there as well on the days that they are published. It's just so exciting. In today's episode, we'll have our news and events calendar as usual. Our business segment today is about the service clubs and organizations in our area. Our historical segment introduces us to the Porteous family. Our community voices segment is a little bit of a throwback to the Lighthouse episode, and we'll finish up with another mental health moment. Let's get into it. Every week on the podcast, we'll share some of the local events that are taking place in the area. So many great people doing great things. Please do be sure to get out to support them. Registration is open for the ASL 2025 Good Run that takes place the second Saturday in May in Osgoode Village. Osgoode Youth Association is proud to have a title sponsor for this very popular community event, ASL Contractors, who are celebrating 50 years in business this year. The Good to Go Run Club can help you get ready to run the 5K in just 10 weeks. The club starts on March 3rd and goes until May 5th, just a few days before the big run. Are you good to go? If not, get in on this club to get yourself in shape and ready to take part. Of course, you can also participate in the 2K if you prefer. Every Monday there's euchre at the Osgoode Legion starting at 6:30 p.m. Darts on Tuesday and bingo on Thursday take place there as well. Greeley Legion is hosting their monthly euchre tournament on March 8th. That happens the second Saturday of every month, and the next one is on March 8th. The Metcalfe Community Association is holding their first fundraiser of the year. It's a quilt raffle. Metcalfe resident Stacy Hines donated a beautiful quilt based on the weather for each day in 2023. There are only 100 tickets available, and the raffle takes place on March 31st, so make sure that you get your tickets soon. Proceeds will be going to purchase flowers for the village. On February 22nd, that's tomorrow, it's Winter in the Park at Greeley West. Skating, tobogganing, horse sleigh rides, hot dogs, hot chocolate, and more from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. On Sunday, the Greenhouse Book Fair is at Robert Plant Greenhouse starting at 10 a.m. There'll be over 30 authors there showcasing their works and book-related vendors offering products like stationery, journals, pens, and more. It's free to attend. And I saw some photos of the Robert Plant greenhouses recently online. I've not been inside there. I've driven by it a lot. It's quite an amazing indoor greenhouse. So anyway, some place to go to check it out and get away from all this snow. In support of the Boys and Girls Club of Dundas, the Winchester Legion is hosting Trivia Night at the Legion on February 25th. It starts at 6:30 p.m. and teams of 4 are $10 per person. On February 26th, OYA is hosting their AGM starting at 7 p.m. It's open to all to hear about the exciting things that OYA did in 2024 and, of course, a sneak peek at what's to come in 2025. On February 27th, discover how AI can enhance productivity and streamline operations for your business. This is a presentation followed by a Q&A session hosted by the North Grenville Chamber of Commerce. Fraser Hardy is the speaker. February 27th, Ladies' Night Out is taking place in Winchester at the Old Town Hall, starting at 6 p.m. It's fashion, food, film, fundraiser. That's all fun. They're raising money for the North Dundas District High School prom and will be showing the Melissa McCarthy movie Life of the Party and also having a fashion show hosted by Main Street Clothing Company. Tickets are $25 and there will also be a cash bar. Sounds like an awesome, fun event. February 28th to March 1st, I've already told you, the I Heart Beer and Taco Festival is taking place at the EY Center. It's a 19-plus event with lots of food and drink vendors and other activities as well. On March 1st, the St. Patrick's Day Market is at the North Grenville Municipal Centre in Kemptville, presented by the Eastern Ontario Craft and Gift Market. It runs from 10 till 3. Also on March 1st, the Russell Legion is hosting a fun and friendly cribbage tournament starting at 7 p.m. Registration opens at 6:30 p.m. and they will have snacks available. March 21st to April 20th, Stanley's Sugar Bush will be open for the season. Admission is $10 per person. Seniors pay just $5 and under 2 years old get in for free. The Sugar Shack is the place to check out the maple syrup production. They have tractor-drawn wagon rides, maple taffy, the farm museum, the pancake house, where you pay by weight of your plate, not you. And of course, you can visit the barn and the activity center to learn more about the history of the farm, and the farm shop to take home some of the wares of the farm, including, of course, some maple syrup. And March 2nd is Seedy Sunday at the Kemptville Greenhouse from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. It's free to enter, and there's a seed swap, info sessions, and vendors present as well. And that is our events calendar for this week. A reminder to check out our community calendar at our website, osgoodecommunitychronicles.com/calendar, and you can see all of the details of the events that we mention on the podcast. And that is our news and events segment for this week. In this week's Business Spotlight, we're talking about service clubs and their role in our community. This episode will do a kind of an overview of the types of clubs that we have had in our area in the past, and of course we'll dive into more details for our local active clubs in future episodes. Service clubs have played a vital role in communities for over a century, fostering volunteerism, leadership, and civic engagement. Organizations like the Lions Club, the Women's Institute, and the Kiwanis have left a lasting impact, helping to shape the social and charitable landscape of many towns and cities worldwide. The Lions Club International was founded in 1917 by Melvin Jones in Chicago. They started with a simple mission to create a network of business leaders dedicated to serving their communities. The organization quickly expanded, emphasizing site conservation, disaster relief, and youth programs. One of its most well-known initiatives is the fight against preventable blindness, including its long-standing partnership with the Sight First program. Today, Lions Clubs operate in over 200 countries, continuing their legacy of service with projects ranging from health initiatives to environmental conservation. Their belief is community is what we make it. Lions are active in their communities and fundraise in a variety of ways to support the community projects that they undertake. In our area, we have had the Lions Clubs in Osgoode, Metcalfe, Greeley, Richmond, Gloucester, Kemptville, Winchester, Russell, and I think the Osgoode Club has been discontinued, but I believe the others all continue on. Metcalfe was chartered in 1959 and celebrated 65 years last year. The Women's Institute began in 1897 in Ontario, founded by Adelaide Hoodless as a way to educate and support rural women. It quickly grew into a global movement, promoting community development, agricultural education, and women's rights. In the UK, the WI became famous for its contributions during both World Wars, providing food preservation training and social support. While still maintaining its agricultural roots, the modern Women's Institute focuses on advocacy, education, and community well-being, with branches across Canada, the UK, and beyond. There are currently women's institutes in Carrs, Vernon, Kenmore, Russell, and Manotick. I believe they're all active. Founded in 1915 in Detroit, Michigan, the Kiwanis International began as a business networking group, but soon shifted its focus to service and philanthropy. With a strong emphasis on supporting children, Kiwanis has championed numerous causes, from building playgrounds to funding pediatric health programs. One of its largest initiatives has been the fight against maternal and neonatal tetanus in partnership with UNICEF. With clubs in over 80 nations, Kiwanis continues to empower communities through hands-on volunteerism and fundraising efforts. Locally, we have the Manotick and the Russell Kiwanis Clubs still active. KIN Canada was founded in 1920 in Hamilton, Ontario by Hal Rogers. It is a uniquely Canadian service club that supports local communities through fundraising and volunteer work. The Kinsmen and the Kinettes, the women's branch, and KIN clubs take on a variety of community-based projects, including supporting hospitals, food banks, and disaster relief. The name KIN Canada is newer, replacing the Kinsmen and Kinette clubs. It promotes service, fellowship, positive values, and national pride. There are over 4,000 members across more than 300 clubs, and membership is open to all. The KIN Club of Russell is the local area KIN club. Established in 1925, the Royal Canadian Legion was founded to support veterans, their families, and communities across Canada. Originally created to address the needs of World War I veterans, the Legion has since expanded its efforts to assist all service members, advocate for veterans' rights, and promote remembrance of military service and sacrifice. Legions also play an active role in community service, organizing events such as Remembrance Day ceremonies, fundraising for local causes, and offering social and recreational opportunities for members. As I'm sure you all know, we have legions located in Osgoode, Greeley, Manotick, Russell, and Winchester, and Kemptville locally. While many service clubs have continued to thrive, others have seen their influence decline over time. The Optimist Club, founded in 1919, focused on youth development and community service, providing mentorship and scholarships, but has faced decreasing membership in recent years. There are, however, Optimist clubs in Carlsbad Springs, Russell, and Embrun locally. I know quite a lot about the one in Carlsbad Springs because they have been highlighted quite a bit by Councillor George DeRuse since we have taken them in as part of our ward, and they do amazing things, and they're wonderful, wonderful people. The Rotary Club, established in 1905, remains active in many areas, but has seen participation wane in some regions as societal dynamics change. I'm not sure if any Rotary clubs exist in our area anymore. I did kind of a cursory search and I didn't find any. And the Independent Order of Odd Fellows, the IOOF, was founded in the early 19th century and had a strong fraternal and charitable presence, but has significantly declined in North America as well. There is an Odd Fellows Lodge in Kemptville. And the Freemasons, one of the oldest fraternal organizations dating back centuries, have also experienced some declining membership, though they continue their charitable work and community involvement through lodges worldwide. The North Grenville Masons are still in operation in our area. And they actually have a wild game dinner happening tomorrow night, which I may have put into the calendar of events a couple weeks ago. Service clubs remain an essential part of many communities, offering opportunities for people to give back, to build connections, and to create positive change. Whether through scholarships, disaster relief, or social advocacy, these organizations have stood the test of time, proving that grassroots volunteerism can make a significant difference. For those looking to get involved, local branches of the Lions, Women's Institute, Kiwanis, and the Royal Canadian Legion still welcome new members, eager to contribute to their community's growth and well-being. The bottom line is that all of these clubs need members to remain active. If you're looking to get involved in your community, consider one of these organizations or clubs. And that is our business spotlight for this week. This week's historical segment, we meet the Porteous family. Actually, we take a peek at them. The Metcalfe and District Lions Club has a rich history of community service, with several families playing pivotal roles in its development and activities. The Porteous family has been integral to the club's success. Bill Porteous was a charter member when the club was established on October 26, 1959, and dedicated 6 decades to its initiatives, including community events, fundraising, and managing the canteen at the Metcalfe Fairgrounds. So let's talk about how the Porteous family got here. We're not going to cover the whole family in this episode because there are quite a few of them, but we'll take a crack at a couple of the early generations. In 1842, Thomas Bailey took a heads of family census, and William Porteous, a resident at the time, said he had been here for 6 months already. That means he arrived in the summer of 1841. His wife was Mary Lorimer, and they had 8 children, all of whom had been born in Scotland, where they were married. William Porteous was a blacksmith, and his craft was very much in demand in our area. In fact, I always thought that Charles Blanchfield was the only blacksmith in the area, but he definitely was not. The Blanchfield blacksmith shop might be the only one still standing in the area, but there were many, many blacksmiths. It was a booming trade. In 1841, William was one of few, however. His customers had to travel far distances to get to his shop. William and Mary purchased a 200-acre lot at Vernon, Lot 40, Concession 7, and their children were Agnes, James, David, John, Martha, William, Matthew, Janet, and Margaret. Now, Matthew, Janet, and Margaret were unmarried, but the others were married. Agnes married Thomas Campbell. They were married actually in Scotland, and they had 9 children. They're listed as having a son named John P., and he married a woman, last name of Locke, or Lowe, who had one son, Aaron, who himself had 15 children with his wife. That was indicated in the Pioneer Families information from Bruce Porteous, but I haven't been able to find that information about that first wife or Aaron or those 15 subsequent children online. So we're going to keep looking. After that, John P. then married Jane Carlyle. James married Isabel McPherson. She was reportedly 20 years older than her husband, though a family tree online shows her being 10 years older. They had 4 children. David married Mary Ann Hopewood, and they had 5 children. John married Anne McLaren, daughter of Samuel McLaren and Catherine Griffith, and they had 7 children. Martha married Duncan McIntosh, son of Donald McIntosh and Christiana MacArthur. They had 10 children. William married Mary Kennedy, daughter of Alexander Kennedy and Mary McDougall. They were married in Scotland, and they had 8 children. So we'll go a little further down the family tree here. Agnes and Thomas's kids, John P., married Janet Carlyle, and they had 3 children. Martha, Albert, and Nancy, I don't see any marriages for them. Sarah married Thomas Crawford, and they had 3 kids. William, Thomas, and Matthew, also I have no further records for them at this point. Mary Margaret married John Kennedy Porteous, and they had 2 kids, Ethel and Gordon. Ethel married John Alexander Creer, son of Alexander Creer and Sarah Love, and they had 6 children. And there were 2 more of Agnes and Thomas's kids, Nelson and Rose. Agnes's brother James and Isabel, their children were Mary, who married Finley McPherson, and they had 3 kids. Duncan William married Jane Carkner, daughter of Nehemiah Carkner and Annie Meldrum. Of course, we remember the Carkners from Kenmore. They farmed in Winchester, and they had 6 children. Duncan's sister Annie never married. And then Agnes Catherine married widower William Dockstetter, son of John Dockstetter and Permilia Carkner, also from the Kenmore Carkners. He had 7 children from his first wife, Sarah Campbell, and they had 3 children together. Mildred married widower Abel Whitehorn. William married Jessie McEwen, daughter of Peter McEwen and Jenny Hay. And Isabella married Duncan McMartin, son of John McMartin and Margaret McPhail. Agnes's other brother, David, married Mary Ann, and they had 3 kids, but they moved out of the area. John and Ann's kids were William, who married Kate Spears, and then another Kate, Kate Kennedy. Catherine Kate married Humphrey Hughes. Daniel married Janet Agnes Campbell. And then Matthew was unmarried. John S. and Mary Ann both died young. Now Martha and Duncan, we'll get into their family a little bit further on because there's a bunch of them. Christina, William, Mary Ellen, Jessie, Donald, Peter, Annie, Martha, Catherine, and John. So we'll cover them in a little bit of a later episode. William and Mary's kids were Alexander, William James, who married Catherine Elizabeth Hall, John Kennedy, who married Mary Margaret Campbell, and they had 4 children, Maddie, Roy, Jean, and Anne. And then he married a second time to a woman named Pelton. Again, we'll dig down into this family in another episode. They had 6 more children. David Daniel married Bessie Stanley. Christy Elizabeth married a fellow named Stanton. Mary Jane and Kitty Angus were both unmarried. And Anna Bell married Andrew Jameson. And then the remainder of the kids, Mary Jane, Christy, Catherine, David Daniel, and Anne Bell. We don't have any marriage information or anything like that at this time, but we will continue to dig into the Porteous family. We're going to leave them here for this episode, just so you can see how they got married into some of the other families in the area, but quite a few of them moved away as well. And the Porteous family, of course, ran the general store in Vernon from 1900 to 1990, and those families are the ones that we know from the area. And we'll cover that business in a future podcast episode. But for now, that is our historical segment for this week. In today's Community Voices segment, I want to circle back to something that we talked about in the Lighthouse episode, the Cliff Wilkes Orchestra. The Cliff Wilkes Orchestra was a prominent music ensemble in the 1950s based in Vernon, Ontario. Led by Cliff Wilkes, the local barber, the orchestra became the resident band at the Lighthouse, a popular dance hall situated along the Rideau River near James Island. During its heyday, the Lighthouse would attract up to 400 attendees on Saturday nights, offering a vibrant atmosphere with live big band music, dancing, and various summer activities such as swimming and boat races. The orchestra's lineup in February 1952 included Gene Wilkes on trumpet, Cliff Wilkes on banjo, Roy Porteous on saxophone, Peter Creer on drums, and Audrey Creer on piano. Their performances were central to the lively social scene in the South Ottawa region during that area. Since we're talking about the Porteous family, and I've also mentioned the Creers, I thought it was a good little spot to highlight them in this episode. And of course, we continue to hear of all the people who went to the Lighthouse and enjoyed it during the time that it was open here. Although we still have no specific stories, just that the music was amazing. And that is our Community Voices segment for this week. In today's mental health moment, we have a Daleys diary, a little bit of advice I found in an Osgoode Township Historical Society newsletter from 2003. I'm not quite sure if Michael Daley wrote it or just included it, but I'll credit him here just the same. I think if somebody else wrote it, he would have credited them, so I'm pretty sure it's his words. And it reads, "The editor's one-liners, life's little instructions. Sing in the shower. Treat everyone you meet like you want to be treated. Watch a sunrise at least once a year. Leave the toilet seat in the down position. Never refuse homemade brownies. Strive for excellence, not perfection. Return borrowed vehicles with a full tank of gas. Never waste an opportunity to tell someone you love them. Leave everything a little better than you found it. Think big thoughts, but relish small pleasures." Don't you love that? Those are words to live by. And that is this week's mental health moment. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Osgoode Community Chronicles. I hope you enjoyed our connections from the past and our taste of the present. Now you know a little bit more about the Porteous family and the service organizations and clubs that are so important to the communities that we live in. I hope you'll take some time to connect with some of them and get involved if you can. And of course, our community calendar is the new initiative that I want you to check out too. It's easy to find everything on our website, and we'll put links to it on our social media as well. Remember, you can catch all of our past episodes anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also listen online at our website at osgoodecommunitychronicles.com and follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram. Don't miss next week's episode, where we'll share more news and events in your area and more stories of families past and present. Thanks again for supporting our snapshot of our local community. I'm Tracy Daviero, and this has been Osgoode Community Chronicles, keeping our rural spirit alive, one story at a time. I'll see you next week.